All right, guys, we are back. Monday Night Raw review of July 29th, 2019 in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's the week after the Raw reunion. We had that great ending segment with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and everybody ended Raw last week on a high note with that. You're going to have more eyes, hopefully, if you've done your job correct with the Raw reunion. The whole reasoning was to put eyes onto the product. Well, like I said, I actually know a guy that I saw on my Facebook timeline that said he tuned into Raw just because he wanted to see the Raw reunion last week, and said he actually was disappointed in the show because he said there wasn't anybody in there any good, and then actually made fun of Kevin Owens because he tuned into SmackDown the next week to see Kevin Owens out here doing a Stone Cold Stunner, out here doing the same move that Stone Cold Steve Austin was doing. And he has a legitimate complaint of, who's this Kevin Owens guy I think he is, using Stone Cold's move. He's no Stone Cold. They can't give you anything original. Is this what you've been watching, Big Dave? Legitimate complaint, a legitimate question to ask. If you think about it, if you were somebody who did not watch the product since the Attitude Era, and you turned it on last Monday night to see really not a whole lot of wrestling, but more just nostalgia. You saw a lot of the 24/7 title, and then you think, well, maybe I'll just check out Tuesday night because Monday night, that was a lot of old school guys. What are they going to do on SmackDown? Are they going to do anything on that? Let's check out SmackDown, see if it's any better. And the first thing you see is Shane McMahon, and then Kevin Owens comes out and gives Shane McMahon a stunner. If you have not followed the product, all you're thinking is, wow, they're just doing Stone Cold and Vince now with this guy and Vince's son. They're just giving you the same old shit again. That's what people saw. A first-hand account, I know for a fact that is what a gentleman that I've known for a long time since I was a kid, a little bit older than me, that was what he said about the show. Tuned into Raw, didn't see anything on the Raw to catch his attention. He doesn't understand why Stone Cold's not out here stunning people. That's another issue when you put out these legends like that. People don't realize Stone Cold Steve Austin can't go out there and give anybody a stunner. I don't think he's medically cleared to do that. And WWE doesn't play around with that shit. Ever since Chris Benoit, they don't mess around with that stuff anymore. They don't. So, of course, Stone Cold would love to go out there and stun 5 or 6 people. Of course, we'd love to see that. But you can't see it because he can't physically do it. But he looked in great shape. The casual fan doesn't know that, though. The casual fan that used to watch in the Attitude Era, they don't understand that. So that's another, kickback from doing these reunion shows and having all the legends from the past come back. Yeah, it draws eyes to the show, and yeah, it brings back that nostalgia, and everybody likes that. But these people don't understand why Stone Cold can't come out here and give a stunner. And then you tune in on Tuesday and you see Kevin Owens giving Shane McMahon a stunner, who is Vince's son. Well, who's this Kevin Owens guy? And here I am trying to say, well, I get what you're saying, but if anybody's going to use the stunner, it needs to be Kevin Owens. And, but they don't understand that. They don't get that. So, last week, that's what you had. So, this week, if you've done your job correctly, there's going to be new eyes on the product. There's going to be new eyes seeing wrestlers that they haven't seen before, probably, because they tuned in for Monday Night Raw. They saw Stone Cold say, oh, we're all a big family. This is great. Tune in next week. Okay, Stone Cold, I'm going to tune in. Opening segment is they show the WWE Championship on Raw, which is not the championship on Raw, it's the Universal title. But anyway, they show the WWE Championship and say this has been the benchmark for years. Of the top of the wrestling business, you're the WWE Champion. But now, ever since the 24/7 title come in, it's a new era. So, and when they were showing the WWE title, like, it was majestic and it looked professional, it looked class. They had music playing in the background. It had music kind of like a prestige and almost a majestic royalty sounding music in the background. Then they show the 24/7 title and it turns into the circus music, like literally cartoon, like, I mean, and they're like the 24/7 title that can be defended anytime, anywhere. It can be won by anyone, no matter if you're a male, a female, or a senior citizen. This is the opening fucking segment of your rebound off of the Raw reunion. This is what the first thing that people are going to see. I don't know if you guys that put this together, I don't know if you just don't think. I don't know if you are touched in the head, possibly a little bit, or if you really and truly are trying to sabotage the product, or did you honestly think that was the best way to open Raw this week? With new eyes on the product, people tuning in, that's what you're trying to do, right? With the reunion. Put new eyes, bring back old viewers. When I say new eyes, I mean, new eyes that haven't seen the product or follow the product in over a decade. And the first thing you show these people is the 24/7 championship. Bad call on whoever made that decision. If I'm this guy, we'll say his name is John. If I'm this guy, John, who I'm talking about, that tuned in and then watched SmackDown and said, you know what, maybe Big Dave was right. I'll give it a chance. Let's see what Raw's talking about this week. And it goes from the WWE title. For years and years, it's been a landmark of the top of the business. But then, there was a new title born. The 24/7 title. Yeehaw! Yippee-ki-yay! Anybody can win this. You ain't even got to do nothing to win it. You remember the hardcore title? It's like that, without the hardcore. That's what you gave them. And then we go into a match. So we're not going into a talking segment, which I think maybe 2-3 weeks in a row now, Raw has started off with actual matches. But the announcer says that this is going to be, the following contest is a Mosh Pit Mixed Tag Team match, WTF, and it's for the 24/7 title. So I'm already confused, but I kind of see where it's going just because I've watched the program enough and I can just look at it. The ring, they have all these wrestlers on the outside of the ring. It's basically a lumberjack match, but they call it a mosh pit mixed tag. I don't know if that means that they can only carry the wrestler around or they couldn't, I don't know. But that's what it is. And it's Drake Maverick and his wife Renee, who I personally know nothing about. From the research that I've done, I guess she was in the Mae Young Classic. She is legitimately, a wrestler. Drake Maverick and Renee versus R-Truth and, of course, Carmella. Now, the way this is going to work is, mixed tag team match. Guys, If you don't know what that is by now, I'm not going to go into it. Look it up. But I thought it was funny because R-Truth, he's coming out doing his "What's Up" music, what's up, and he'll spit up a part of the verse, and then Carmella will spit a part of the verse, and she does not need to be rapping. She does not need to even just let R-Truth come out and do his song. Mella, you shut your mouth, be pretty, and that's it. There's no reason for you to do all that. But anyway, while he's doing this, I'm thinking, he's sitting here doing his whole spiel, singing, dancing, and Drake Maverick is just watching this. And I'm like, just attack him. Just be a heel. It's a 24/7 match. You got all the 24/7 jabronis around the ring. And I'm thinking, how much, I don't know this at the time until I did my research, but I'm like, how much experience does this Renee girl have? I mean, does anybody know anything? Can you give us any history about her? You're just telling us she's Drake Maverick's wife. Well, Drake Maverick's wife has got some actual ring gear that she wore out to the ring. So obviously, she's a wrestler, or she just had this ring gear made for this one night. I mean, give us a little bit of background. I had to go back and do my research on it. But anyway, she is a wrestler. So at some point, R-Truth throws Drake over the ropes, and they catch him, and they go to put him on the apron. And I think it was supposed to look like they pushed him over the top rope, where you do that little flip over the top rope like managers used to do in the old school days, where they, do a back bump, but they flip from the apron on inside to the ring. Well, this happens, but nobody pushed him. And this is just another example of how there are miscues and mistakes these days that I never hear the content creators talk about. I never hear them hardly ever talk about it. And it just seems like it's part of it now. Like, it's not even a big deal. Whereas, in the 90s, late 90s and things like that, this type of stuff, if these types of spots were missed, and, I would have gave those guys hell for missing that stuff. You would have been punished for missing spots in the ring. And I'm not talking about Drake as I know he's a good worker, and he does a lot of great things. He's good at a lot of different stuff in this business, but just another example of miscues and mistakes that for some reason we just act like is part of the norm. R-Truth hits I guess like a leg drop, and he spins around, and I heard somebody, I don't know if it was a wrestler or what, but when he goes, "What the hell?" And when he says it, you hear it on the microphone, and Zack Ryder's holding back from laughing because he's about to bust out in laughter. He heard it too. But when he does this move, R-Truth wins. So R-Truth wins. He holds up the belt, and the way the rules were for this match, no one could interfere until after the bell rang. But as soon as the bell rang, he's free game again for the 24/7 rules. Anybody can grab him at any time. So, bell rings. The 24/7 jabronis, they circle around the apron. They come in. Somehow, they do a dog pile on him, on R-Truth. All the wrestlers are on top of him. The referee comes in and counts to 3. I don't know how he could tell anybody was on top of who was where, what, but this is what he does. He counts to 3, and somehow Mike Kanellis slips out of the bottom of the dog pile with the 24/7 title. So he takes off running, and he runs out into a room, locks the door. The door said officials, WWE officials on it. He shuts the door, locks himself into the room. Then Maria is walking toward, everybody's standing around the door trying to beat it down. Maria comes walking in. Excuse me, pregnant woman coming through. And as she's coming down there, he then she says, "Let me in." He says, "How will I know it's you? How do I know you're not Carmella? You say you're my wife, but you can't, you should know your wife's voice, buddy. Just saying." But anyway, she says, "Let me in or I will kick you in your vagina." And there is our second WTF moment of the night. So, he opens up the door. I guess we go to a commercial, whatever. We come back, and we now have been told that there is a 5-superstar gauntlet match for the number one contender to AJ Styles' United States title. Now, there's been people shit on this segment. There's been people shit on this and this program. I understand why they shit on it, but I'm going to tell you why I approve it. Number one, they did this with the right people. I know. Here's the thing. Yes, Cesaro's been on a losing streak. Why does he get a U.S. title shot? A lot of these, Sami Zayn, I don't think he's won a singles match in I don't know how long. Why does he get a U.S. title shot? Why is he put in here? There should be people that are implemented into this 5-man gauntlet match. Put guys in there who have actually been winning matches. I understand that 100%. I agree with that 100%. But I'm just looking at, can we at least get to a point in this show where we're not 2 out of 3 falls? Can we just get to some type of normalcy? And can we at least have someone fight for the belt that earned it in some way? Okay? Like I said, some of these guys don't deserve to even have the opportunity. Really none of them, except for maybe Andrade and Ricochet, are the only guys that, really should have an opportunity. Rey Mysterio hasn't been winning. Sami Zayn hasn't won. Cesaro, hasn't been winning. But at least you're saying, all right, these 5 guys, these are our mid-talent guys, kind of. These are some of the mid-card talent that we have. So they're going to put these guys in that spot. And it gets them a way to take a break in between commercials and stop the wrestling, so things happen tonight that you can't go all the way with that because... Okay, gauntlet match starts. You have Rey Mysterio versus Cesaro. Now, for those that shit on this, let me just start out by saying Rey Mysterio versus Cesaro is a good match. It's a solid match. It is 2 great wrestlers, and they give us a solid match. And then in between, right in the middle of the match, it goes to a commercial break. In the middle of the match. We didn't stop it. It kept going. And I'm thinking, wait a second. That's not supposed to happen, right? Okay. So, match is going on. Rey Mysterio, he's still as quick as a hiccup. They have a great match. They do a nice spot off the top rope where Rey hits a bulldog off of the top rope. 619 frog splash. Rey wins in a very, very solid match. Now, Sami Zayn runs in, and when Sami Zayn runs in, he jumps all over Rey. I mean, he's on him real fast, beating him up. There's a part where he goes for the Kalua kick. He missed, and Rey puts his arm out, and Sami Zayn even motions like he's going to fall backwards. Luckily, he did not, because they had another miscue. Another situation, where... you have a mistake. But if he misses the Kalua kick, whatever you call it, Rey goes for the schoolboy pin, but he's out of his reach. So Sami Zayn turns around to go and bends down to start punching Ray. You've got two great wrestlers in there. They know what they're doing. Ray just turns him up for a small package. 1, 2, 3. Gets the win. Because these guys are good in the ring, they were able to cover it up. Okay? So it didn't look too bad. But then again, there seems to be a way more missed spots or miscues these days than 15 years ago. Next, we have Andrade come out to the ring. They go to a commercial break. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. Okay, yes, they should have went to a commercial break if they're going to do it. Why didn't they go to a commercial break with Sami Zayn? But we get something of logic, but not really, because I never heard a bell ring when Sami Zayn came out there. All right, but anyway, go to commercial. Andrade versus Ray. Then before we come from the commercial break, they have this little SmackDown advertisement that says Jerry the King Lawler will be bringing back the King's Court on SmackDown, and his guest will be Trish Stratus, and that Randy Orton will address Kofi Kingston. Of course, that could always change, just like it did last week, because from what I heard last week, Vince McMahon changed SmackDown, the script of SmackDown 4 hours before the show. Again, that's allegations. I don't know if it's absolutely true, but this is what I was heard. Rumors, peanut butter and jelly. And it made me stop to think when I heard that, and then I saw all this stuff. Random thought. And you guys mark this down. What if Eric Bischoff is just there for Fox? So, I've said this before. He's more there to be an ambassador to the Fox network because he did the same thing with TNT. But what if he's just there for that, but he's also there to know what TNT will expect out of AEW? Remember, Eric Bischoff had to work hand in hand with AEW. With Turner Broadcasting, okay? TNT. Now, he's gone on record saying over and over their standards and practices would not let them compete with what the WWE was doing on USA because not Fox, but TNT, Turner Broadcasting, had a tighter grip on that. Standards and practices, okay? He's going to not only know how to talk to Fox Network because he's dealt with network cable like that before with Turner when he was in WCW, number one. And number two, he's going to know exactly pretty much how TNT is going to respond to AEW and what they're going to expect out of AEW and what they're not going to tolerate from AEW. And it also lets you know when Vince says things like he said, I just don't think that TNT is going to allow all the blood and gore and guts that AEW is going to have on their programming. Understand, AEW is not stupid, and they understand they can't do that stuff on TNT. But Vince is throwing those little teasers out there. He's saying these little things, and I'm telling you that I truly believe Eric Bischoff will have nothing to do with creative on SmackDown. If he does, it will be very, very, very light. I believe that his true role is to be an ambassador to Fox and also to kind of backdoor little Joe him and know what TNT is going to expect from AEW. They gave him that position, that title, and they gave the same title to one Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman, who is already a part of this company, has already been a part of creative. I think Heyman is secretly going to be working on SmackDown and Raw creatively. Because all the reports coming from SmackDown rosters backstage so far, and all the reports that I've heard, again, allegations, it's been business as usual at SmackDown. There's really been no change. nothing's been, done differently since this announcement of Eric Bischoff. Hell, he's just now getting into where he was at the show, supposedly. I'm not so sure all of it's a work, and Eric's just there to be an ambassador. All right, so after we get through all that crap, that was just my little random statement. Back to the match again. We have two great matches, two great wrestlers here. Andrade needs to win against Ray. Okay, I think if Ray were to win, that would be all right. But Andrade needed this victory. He needed to win. It just makes sense. And I like how Graves says that Andrade won't make the same mistakes that Zayn made. When Andrade is more of a slow, methodical pace. He's not just running in there. And then Cole ruins it by mentioning, well, Sammy attacked him before the bell rang. And I was thinking, I never even heard a bell ring. But anyway, then there's that hammer DDT, double lock hammer DDT that Andrade does. He does that onto Ray. And it was weird with the count there. They go for the 3 count, and Cole says, no. But then he says, well, yes, the referee was just saying that Ray was hurt. Never mind the 3 count. It was a 3 count. And then Andrade starts to rip at Rey Mysterio's mask, and he damn near ripped it off. So maybe that's setting up something down the line for a mask. I've heard they was going to do a mask versus hair match with Andrade and Ray. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it'd be kind of cool. All right, then we go into the next wrestler. After Andrade wins, these are going to be the last two. You have Ricochet versus Andrade. Ricochet comes out. You hear Renee Young say, well, let's get to that bell. Wait for that bell to ring. Because I think they made a mistake on that Sami Zayn match. But another good match. I'd like to see these guys get more time. But, it is a gauntlet match, so you couldn't give them as much as you wanted. Two great wrestlers, solid match. Ricochet wins with 6:30 and will fight AJ Styles again at SummerSlam. Now, I know it's a rematch, but that really doesn't bother me as bad as the fact that we know that AJ's basically going to retain. Let's be honest. Who else could go and for that spot? Who else would you put in that spot that Ricochet's in? It may not only be a good match, but, it's somebody that believably might give AJ Styles a run. So I don't mind the match because, like I said, who else are you going to put in there? It's believable that Ricochet could win. But we all know at the end of the day, AJ Styles is going to win that match. Because Ricochet could at least give him a run for his money in that match. AJ is a main event talent holding a mid-card title on a brand with very little mid-card faces. You've got Ray, you got Ricochet on Raw, and I'm trying to think who else you have as a mid-card babyface. Not a whole lot. You go to backstage, you've got Mike and Maria. Mike is saying, now, look at me, you can be proud of me, I've got a title. He tells her, baby, we're the champs. I won this for us. And she says, get down on your back. Like you always do. I'm pinning you so our unborn child can have a champion as a parent. And he lays down. She puts her foot on his chest. 1, 2, 3. Says, I'm the first ever pregnant champion. Then she walks around the backstage area holding the title, walking in all the wrestlers' face with the title, saying, first pregnant champ. No one will attack me, of course, because I'm pregnant. We go into another moment of bliss with Nikki Cross. I guess that's the guest. I don't know. They talk about the brand new 24/7 champion. She's proud of the first pregnant champion. I guess that's a big deal to her for some reason. They talk about the Raw reunion. Talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin, how great that was. They go through a little segment of that. Then they talk about Dolph Ziggler kicking Shawn Michaels and said she was appalled. And then they show an actual. Hold on here. Becky basically is. Hold on 1 second here. Sorry, I got confused. Then they show, she's talking about being appalled. They show a sparring session that was shot earlier in the day. Fit Finlay is working with Natty, and he's showing her how to get out of the disarmor, how to reverse it. Becky Lynch slides in the ring, calls him a traitor, gives him a low blow, and then attacks Natty. So if you remember, I guess Finlay and Becky Lynch, they're from the same place, so they're supposed to be buddies. Finlay allowed her to get into the Women's Royal Rumble that one time that eventually led her to go to WrestleMania and eventually led her to beat Ronda Rousey to eventually have her be the champion that she is today. But she calls him a traitor, and they show the beatdown. So after they show the beatdown, they go back, crowd's chanting for Becky, and Becky says that's tonight, Alexa says tonight, she's going to knock Becky down a few pegs. Then Becky shows up on the Titantron and asked Nikki, did you come all the way here from Scotland just to be a coffee runner for this dope? And then the Usos music plays, and the Usos come out and says that they have to prove that they won't miss Monday Night Raw for anything, and I guess hitting around to Jimmy Uso's second DUI within the past year. I believe that's right. And right after, Cena's comments about them getting arrested last Monday night, and they're like, welcome to the Uso Penitentiary, and they're smiling about it, kind of joking about it. They need to be careful because, if like Mothers Against Drunk Driving or anybody like that catches a wind of this, they won't be laughing and smiling anymore. Something's got to be done about this because, if you're getting 2 DUIs that quick back to back, you've got an issue. And you're going to hurt yourself or, God forbid, hurt somebody else. I wish that if you was out drinking and driving, or if you was under the influence of any kind of drug and you have a wreck and it's fatal, I wish that the only person that would die would be the person that was under the influence. But that's not the case. So, something's got to change there. He needs to watch himself, and they need to check them real quick. But we're going to have a triple threat match, a triple threat tag team title match, and it's going to be the Usos and the Revival versus the OC. Unfortunately, I saw the result of this match while I was on social media because I always, watch mine. I always watch Raw recorded, and anyway. But triple threat title match. You've got 3 of the best tag teams in the world, in my opinion, today. I got to get used to calling them the OC, the Usos, and the Revival. Again, all good. 3 teams are all really good. And I've gone on the record and stated that, I'd like to see the Revival keep their titles for a long run. I'd like to see them hold their belts longer than the New Day held them. This match at the beginning, it was pretty much all the Usos and the Revival. The OC was kind of staying out of the match, not getting tagged in, trying to stay out of the match, which is just smart, So then we actually go to another break during the during the match. We go to another ad break. And I'm thinking, okay, so this rule now, it's over. They've done it twice. There's no way that this is still a rule anymore. That they must have decided to throw that out. So they go to a commercial break, and the match is still going on. I don't know what they did in between. Maybe they did something to stall it. But as far as I'm seeing it as the viewer, the match is going on. So I guess they're done with this rule, and I'm thinking, well, maybe the wild card rule will be next. But anyway, we come back from commercial. They're getting into it, all three teams, and the crowd is really starting to get into this match, as they should, because they're putting on a very solid, very good match. Like I said, I could watch the Usos and the Revival all the time. I could never get tired of watching them two teams fight. They're a great, great match. They always tell a story in the ring, and that's the main thing. Now there's a suplex by Dawson, and then a tornado DDT. But the suplex that Dawson did on Anderson, he does a suplex, and I think Anderson was supposed to land like on his feet on the apron. They're standing by the ropes, and it's like he's going to suplex him straight about the ring. But they hardly ever do that spot. And he goes to do it, and I think Anderson's feet was supposed to hit the apron and do something there, but it didn't. Like, he missed it, and they literally suplexed each other over the top, and it looked great. I mean, it looked bad, but it both guys looked like they were okay. So it was a hell of a miscue that it may have not been a miscue. That's how well they kept it looking, as a legitimate move. But it looked like a legitimate move because it looked like it hurt. But after that, then you have a tornado DDT comes out of nowhere on the outside. You've got all this stuff going on to the outside. Then you have an actual superplex from the top turnbuckle to the outside on all of the rest of the men. It's a good match. Like I said, they're really putting it all out in this match. Jimmy goes for the splash. Gallows makes a quick tag. And the Revival hit the Shatter Machine on Jey Uso. On Jimmy Uso. Then Jey Uso hits a crossbody on both members of the Revival. Then Anderson hits a spine buster on Jey Uso after he gets up from the crossbody. And then they hit the Magic Killer on Jimmy Uso, and the OC are new champs. So now we got the OC on Raw. We got AJ, Luke, Gallows, and Anderson on Raw. All three of them got belts. You got the New Day. All three of them got belts on SmackDown. Maybe we'll get to see the Undisputed Era on NXT. But again, very good match. We go backstage. You see AJ Styles backstage. He's got champagne out, a little spread, cheese and platters and food. And they're about to interview him. And then here comes the OC. They start to celebrate. Big moment for them. And that's what happens if you hold out and then you sign a 5-year contract. And from what I understand, all it took was AJ Styles going to bat for him and saying, you guys need to use these guys. And then once they signed their contract, AJ signed his. So that's what you got to do, I guess, to get somewhere in this company. Then you have the Viking Raiders. They go up against, again, two jobbers, Johnny James and Cole Carter. I wish they would have had anyone from the main roster in this spot other than these two guys, and here's why. When I saw Zack Ryder take and Ryder and I can't think of the other guy's name now, but you know what I'm talking about. The guy that Kurt Hawkins, he took that finisher that the Viking Raiders do, and he made it look great. He sold. And these guys are selling, these jobbers, but they're not making it look as good as these other guys would make it look. And I think, you have an opportunity getting somebody hurt out there because they are not as talented as the people you got on the roster. I understand that you don't want these guys to lose over and over and over again. And, you don't want them to keep fighting the same guys. And you might not have that many people on the roster that you think, hey, we'll just throw to the wolves. But sometime is better than no time. Much as I hate to say it, Mike Kanellis just got pinned by his wife, and he is bigger now than he's ever been in his career. So, sometimes better than no time. But if you give us something that we can get, because the reason I'm saying this is I can't get invested into the Viking Raiders because they're fighting someone that's never going to be there again. You can't really give me. I think they called these guys up and then they realized, damn, we don't know what to do with them. But I mean, of course you don't know what to do with them. You changed everything about them as soon as you brought them up to NXT from NXT. All right, backstage you got the Street Profits. They're doing their thing. So Maria's a 24/7. And Dawkins says, yeah. He said, well, one of them says, but she's pregnant. And Dawkins is like, yeah, she is. And then he asks, are you the baby daddy? He gets all mad about it. Then enters Seth Rollins and says that he's going to burn it down. And he says it with them. And then they show Becky Lynch walking backstage and said, well, that man, Seth Rollins, is that woman's boyfriend. Just in case you didn't know. Then we go to Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss. And they said this is the first time they've ever fought on Raw. I don't know if that's true, but anyway, Alexa Bliss, she's got such a cute ass. Got a phenomenal little booty. And, she gets a bad rep from a lot of the content creators about how she's not a good wrestler and all that. But I'm actually a fan of hers. I think she's a great heel. And she's always adding new moves, trying to add new moves to her arsenal and her repertoire. So I think she's a good opponent for Becky tonight. But instead, instead of like a 6-person tag or some kind of elimination match, I'd rather see Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch. Except we get this gimmick thing where Alexa Bliss holds her ankle during the match. The ref breaks it up, see if she's okay. She's actually crying in the corner. We've seen this from Bliss before where she plays possum. Said she's unable to perform, so Becky is the winner, I guess, by forfeit. So I'm thinking, all right, so I guess Nikki will take her place. And, of course, she does. Nobody saw that coming, I'm sure. So then you have Nikki Cross versus Becky. Bliss is sitting at ringside still. Like, if you're that hurt, you need to be going back to the medical facility. But she's sitting up there and she's got her leg elevated. She's sitting in a chair and has her leg propped up under the other chair. Becky hits what they call the manhandle slam. I don't know if that's a new move. Maybe I've missed that. Goes for the victory. 1, 2, 3. And then, of course, Alexa Bliss attacks Becky Lynch after this. And Corey Graves just channeling his inner Bobby the Brain Heenan and says, oh my God, she's better. As what Graves says, oh my God, she's better. Then, of course, as they're doing that, Natalie comes out. She attacks Becky. This Natty and Becky Lynch storyline, this might be the best storyline going into SummerSlam. But I don't think that I don't think Becky Lynch would tap out, is what I'm thinking. As soon as I'm writing that down, I'm like, this is a good storyline. I don't think Becky will lose. But next, we go backstage, and Natty is challenging Becky to a submission match. She said, I would like to challenge Becky to a submission match. My dominant sharpshooter against her inferior, disarm her. She says, but she says Becky probably won't do that, so she's not going to even ask. And then you have the Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler match. This is so Seth can get revenge on Dolph and uphold HBK's honor. And which, I was sitting here thinking, why in the hell is Seth in this? It doesn't make any sense. Seth's in the ring, then HBK's music hits. Michael Cole says, oh my God. And then it's Dolph music. He's got a mic. He comes out. He's doing the whole Shawn Michaels, acting like Shawn Michaels coming to the ring. He says, what's wrong, Seth? It looks like you've lost your smile. It's embarrassing to see people like, you and Goldberg. He mentions Goldberg again tonight. But he says tonight you get to see the real headliner in me, Dolph Ziggler. Now, I've heard a rumor that Goldberg will be coming back for SummerSlam. And I heard that he's going to be coming back and facing Dolph Ziggler. Of course, I've also heard Shawn Michaels will face Dolph Ziggler. God, I hope Goldberg just stays away. But if there's anybody who could make Goldberg look like an actual pro wrestler, it's Dolph Ziggler. But anyway, this match goes on. There's one spot where Dolph does a DDT to Seth on the apron. It looks pretty bad. Then all of a sudden you hear Brock Lesnar's music hit. And here comes Brock Lesnar. And as he's coming down there, Dolph grabs Seth's leg. Brock hits 2 German suplex in the ring. Then there's a beatdown on the outside. He has a German suplex to the outside. It looked pretty stiff. Then an F5 into the ring post. Then he grabs a chair. He hits him with the chair once. Then he actually he unfolds the chair and sits down in it. And then he gets up and he's doing the F5 onto the chair, like where his ribs are hitting this, like the chair's still sitting up, like it would be if he was about to sit on it. And he does that about 3 times, and Seth is coughing up blood. He does it a 3rd time. Paul Heyman's telling Brock, please, just stop. Michael Cole says, I've never seen Paul back Brock Lesnar down like that. But I'm pretty sure Paul Heyman was begging Brock to stop that one time. I think he attacked Vince or Shane. It was somebody in the Vince McMahon family. I don't think it was Triple H, but anyway. Then the paramedics come out to get Seth out of the ring, and these must be the worst paramedics in the world because, anybody else would have brought the gurney, into the ring, laid them on that, and then carried them out. They were just like pulling Seth out of the ring while he's coughing up blood, with internal injuries. Backstage, you get the EMTs. They're carting Seth off to the ambulance, and, you see Becky Lynch just kind of standing there watching. I don't know why she didn't go with him. But then out of nowhere, you see the OC come out, and they're fighting with the Usos. You've got Samoa Joe. You've got Roman Reigns. They just start brawling everywhere. Then they shoot back to the ambulance. This is all happening with one camera. Then it goes from that little scuffle that started. It then zooms out and goes to the ambulance. The ambulance looks like it's about to take off. Then it abruptly stops. Camera switches back to another camera to the outside where you see Brock Lesnar standing in front of the ambulance. He tells the driver, don't move, you stay right there. Brock comes out, pulls Seth out of the back on the gurney. It slides all the way down. Then he picks him up, F5s him onto that gurney, onto that metal part, again with his chest. And, the way he's doing it, any way that a finger, an arm can get caught in that mechanism, the way it folds and everything, that could have been very dangerous. And all the bumps that Seth took tonight with Brock looked absolutely like horrible, but in a good way. Like they were stiff. They were shit that looked real. Okay, I hate saying that, but everything that he did with Brock Lesnar tonight looked real. Looked like it really hurt him. Now, after all that, Joe is then in the ring. Samoa Joe is in the ring. And he calls out, he says that the Samoan Summit has been canceled. So Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe are just going to fight. And there's no ref, there's no bell. They're just fighting outside. Roman Reigns throws the steps at Samoa Joe. Drew McIntyre then comes out, and he starts attacking Roman Reigns. So we got a 2-on-1 situation. Cedric Alexander now, he comes in, sticks his nose in the business. So now it's 2-on-2, and even the score. But no one really cares if Cedric Alexander's out there. Drew drags him up the ramp. He does the suplex on Cedric Alexander against the LED board types it, Then Joe and Drew have Roman Reigns by the announce table, and it looks like they're about to slam Roman Reigns through the announcer's table. About that time, you see the Usos come out for the save. As the Usos are fighting, then you have the OC. They come out to fight the Usos. So you've got Roman Reigns, you've got Samoa Joe, Drew McIntyre, you've got the Usos, and you've got the OC. So they're all outside, standing there by the announcer table, fighting it out. Then out of nowhere, throughout all this chaos, somehow Cedric Alexander is on top of not the top of the Titantron part, but he's on top of that LED board. So he's way up there, and he's standing up there, and he just kind of jumps off, does a crossbody from the top onto everybody. And then they, make it back to the ring, and they're fighting in there. I'm thinking, where's AJ Styles to come help the OC? And the Roman Reigns and the Usos, they fight off everybody. At the end, you've got Cedric, Roman, the Usos. They're all kind of standing there looking strong. The spot that Cedric Alexander did, jumping from the top of that, I'm hoping that will turn some heads, and I think that people will remember that, because he's getting no response right now when he comes out. Like, it's crickets. I mean, it's Deadsville. Snooze fest. So that was pretty much Raw. And I know I went through it fast because I had so many notes, and, I want to keep this right at, around an hour. You can't really say too much bad about the show. Like I said, they wrestled through the matches, through the ad breaks, which I was impressed about that. That was something that we've been asking for. We did get some matches that, are different and fresh. You got a gauntlet match that, although a lot of people shit on and said it was just an easy way for them to get through the ad break, I look at it as, and they also said you had guys in there who did not deserve the title match at all. I look at it as you're actually having these guys do something to earn that match at SummerSlam. So I'm okay with that. One quick point before we get out of here. I want to just say the Smackville show that was Saturday in Nashville. Now, this show was put on real quick. It was shown on the network. It had a good look to it and a good feel, but it was a house show. Like, I've been to house shows. This was a house show. I mean, yes, they had a little announce table on the outside and everything, and they didn't even have the padded ramps. They had like the metal guardrails. This was just a house show. That's all it was, and the crowd was a house show crowd, but it wasn't. All right, that's in Nashville, Tennessee, which is usually a pretty good crowd for wrestling. But like when I went to the little SmackDown show in Bowling Green, where I'm at Western Kentucky University, their diddle arena where the basketball team plays, man, and they had a good little pop for these guys when they come out. And I don't know. It looked like the place was jam packed. I mean, it looked like there was a lot of people there. But this whole thing that they did, it was just for them. I've heard rumors that they want to do shows like this. They want to put some of this stuff on the network. I think this was like a test run for them on that, number one. I also think it was a way that they could kind of gauge, all right, if we need to put a show on real quick to combat something somebody else is doing, can we do it? They proved they could do it. My problem with the show is they only showed some of the matches. The women's match that was advertised evidently was only advertised locally, and it was never advertised by the WWE, is what I've been told. So that women's championship match never happened. We got to see on the network, you got to see Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ali. We got to see Kevin Owens versus Elias. We got to see Kofi, Dolph, and Joe in the three-way. But look at these dark matches. First off, you got Big E and Xavier tag team champs against the B team. Now, some people might say, who cares about that? I care about that. I care about it because I've been saying for a long time Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas are both underutilized talent. All right? I care about that. When you got the Viking Raiders out here squashing jobbers that nobody knows, that's a spot that you could have gave to the B team. And they would have made those guys look great. All right? Then you also have Aleister Black versus Andrade. This is another great match. This is shit that I want to see on SmackDown and Raw. I don't, you're giving me this on dark matches. You got Heavy Machinery versus AOP. Another great match that I want to see. I want to see these teams. The Iconics versus the Kabuki Warriors for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, which I do not care about the Iconics. But this was a match that I wanted to see because I wanted the Kabuki Warriors to take the titles. And guess what? They didn't. They lost to the Iconics. I don't know how, but they did. Then we go into the Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ali, which Ali has been nowhere to be found since WrestleMania. Even before that. They've been doing all these promos for him, and I ain't seen him. But you put him on Smackville? You put him on that? Because he took Finn Balor's place because Finn Balor was sick. But so they get the comeback debut of Ali, and he didn't even come back in all of his gear. He just had his mask on and shit, And of course, Kevin Owens and Elias, I don't care. The Kevin Owens segment that he did, the little quote-unquote concert, was god-awful horrible. Just horrible. And the Kofi, Dolph, and Joe match, the matches themselves were not the bad with what I saw, but I'm just kind of like, man, you're giving away good shit. I understand the house shows, they do some different things, and you get to see some different matches, but if you're going to put this on the network, and you're going to give us your house show, change it up a little bit so you're not giving away shit that everybody wants to see already. And I guess that's why they did all that dark match stuff. Because they can't have Aleister Black coming out and fighting Andrade and then, next week nothing happens, you see? So, I don't know. This was just weird. Like I said, I guarantee you this whole Smackville thing was just a test run so they could see monitor how they could handle situations like this. All right, guys, we're just about out of time. Before I go, once again, as always, thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for following me. You can follow my personal website, my personal Facebook site, David Vaughn Lindsay on Facebook. There's also DVL Music on Instagram. That is my personal Instagram page. Go to the Big Dave Club on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me on both those places there. Those are, just kind of my friends that I call, VIP members, of the club, So you can follow me on those. Also, you can look for Big Dave Wrestling Review. If you look that up on the Anchor app, which is what I use the most, go to the Anchor app. There, you can leave me voice messages, comments. If you want to leave me a comment, I will share it on the next episode. Any comments that you leave, positive or negative. You can also go there and donate 99 cents per month to help support the show at anchor.com, Big Dave Wrestling Review. Also on YouTube, if you go to the Big Dave Wrestling Review, I'm on YouTube under Big Dave Wrestling Review. Go there, hit the subscribe button, also hit the bell notification, hit a like, a comment, share. Just let YouTube know that you're liking what we're doing or that you're at least paying attention. Guys, I got to get out of here. I got about 30 seconds. Once again, thank you so much. We are on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Anchor, YouTube, Big Dave Wrestling Review. And we'll be back at you tomorrow for the SmackDown review. That was Monday Night Raw of July 29th, 2019. Real quick shout out. Today was my buddy Josh English, OE's birthday. Brother, I love you. Happy birthday, Josh. And we'll see you next time.